Hi guys, James from AR Equipment. These are our skid steer slashers. We make these in a 1600mm wide standard flow and a 1800mm wide high flow. They're quite different from the rest of the slashers on the market. We've designed them so that they can do large broadacre paddock work, and that's what the floating deck's all about. Some of the other ones on the market have got a rigid frame here and no jockey wheels, and the problem with that is that you have to adjust your height all day long, sitting there on the joystick to try and get the slasher to stay flat as it goes up and down dips. And especially you'll see on the videos on the website, when you go down into a gully, you can end up putting all the weight on the front end of the slasher, and then it ends up bending the back end of the frame. These will float up and down undulations. That's the big pro with them. And you've got tubular side skids to help you turn a corner. These are probably the only slasher on the market you don't have to lift up at the end of the row to do a turn and go back to slashing in the other direction. They will turn on the spot. The other key feature of these over the other guys is that we run a bent piston motor. I think we're the only one on the market that does so. And the reason for that is that you get a lot more horsepower out of them, a lot more torque out of them. A lot of other ones, if anyone's owned one previously, you would know, they're very low on power. Even on, say, a 60 horsepower skid steer that's running 3,500 PSI and 60-70 litres a minute, it's only about 35 to 38 horsepower hydraulically. And then if you add a gear motor to that, you reduce that down because you can't handle the pressure. They set to about 2,700, which means that you can end up down sub 30 horsepower. That makes a very weak slasher, and that's why we run the bent piston motor. They're capable of handling 5,000 PSI, so it's like a V8 idling down the highway. They're not working hard at all, so they're a very low stressed motor, very overkill for what they are, but it makes the most power out of what's available from the skid steer. Finally, there's some little features that we run. The deck's got drain holes on it so it doesn't gather water, just practical things like that. It's got a cover there so you can undo from the top plate to get access to the blade bolt, which is a big one. When the blades are worn out, the thread's usually stuffed, so you want to be able to get a large rattle gun down there to force those off. I've seen other models where you have to pretty much get under there and oxycut them, which is no fun at all. So just practical side of things there. These will handle up to about 75mm timber, and in my view, anything bigger than that, you would go to a flail mulcher. They're just too hard on the machines. When you have inertia that's out a long way and you go to hit heavy material, that will cause damage to the machine hydraulically because you get pressure spikes. So we have a range of mulchers. You can have a look at those. If you're predominantly doing more land clearing work, that's what we recommend. There is some slashers we see out in the market that've got look like a saw blade discs on them. That's just a marketing gimmick. They're never going to cut on that blade because they'd have to come to a complete stop with centrifugal force running those blades out. It's got to get past the blade before it can even engage that disc, so it's not actually going to work. That's just a silly marketing gimmick. These are great for an all-rounder, general land clearing stuff up to 75mm. They'll just handle it all day long, but having the jockey wheels and the floating deck means that you can be highly productive in a paddock environment as well. If you've got any further questions, call one of the team today.